You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 167, Gillan Future Shock. And coming to you from the memorialized suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I am your co-host, John, the Refrigerator Matola.
Well, we have the Refrigerator Perry here in Chicago, and you get the name for a different. I'm assuming you have not become the size of a refrigerator.
Oh, I'm working on keeping that at bay, but as aren't we all these days? Nope, just finally received the new refrigerator at my parents' house.
The new one, the new non-broken one.
Yeah. Yes, and for those who don't know the story, there has to be
everybody.
For those of you out there that don't know the story, those of you in
how would they know the story?
Norway and everywhere else.
It hasn't made its way to Scandinavia yet.
Yeah, so well, I can't remember if I told it or not. Just because it feels like it's been going on forever. Yeah. So whenever my parents go on a vacation, something catastrophic has to happen. I have to handle. And this time their refrigerator broke. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not as bad as when the house was flooded like 10 and like a couple of years ago. So, called to have it fixed. Then you get the old, hey, it's going to be cheaper to buy a new one than fix it. So then I was tasked with having to find a refrigerator that would fit in my parents' odd space in their kitchen. So, but I finally did it after a couple of weeks. Got it delivered last week, waited up all afternoon or morning rather, and then it came and it was broken. So then I had to send it back. And
glass everywhere.
Yeah. Yep, all shattered glass on the inside. Probably could have kept it and been like, give me a new shelf, or I don't know, but nope. So anyways, long story short, had another one redelivered today. Very lucky because that they even had another one of those in stock, seeing as like any good refrigerator to purchase these days is not in stock. And came today, plugged it in, put it in there, took all the stuff off. So the end. This has been like a 2 or 3 week long saga for me. So
yeah, it was when you came to visit me last year. We're dealing with the same thing. And I think we were in the middle of refrigerators, and you came to visit, and they delivered a new one, and it was dented, so I had to send it back. And
yeah,
I think you only get the right refrigerator on the second try. That's kind of the thing.
Well, I also just realized how like horribly boring that story was by the time I was the end of it. I mean, I expected to be like a blockbuster, but I'm like, wow, that wasn't even like mildly interesting. It was just my story about how I was just trying to get a fridge into my parents' house. Like no funny bits. It was broken. It's like, oh man, it wasn't even like that was funny.
It was broken. Waka waka.
Well, there was like, I mean, at the end of the delivery guy leaned over, fist bumped me and said, "Have a blessed day, bro."
The first one or the second one?
No, it would have been funnier if it were the first one.
All right, too bad. Hey, wait, get back here a minute. That was too nice. Let me open this refrigerator. It's filled with shards of glass.
All right, have a blessed day. Fist bump.
He's trying to exit stage left. Let's get the hell out of here before he realizes. I had to chase some of the guys who delivered my first oven delivered the wrong one. I didn't know it, but Jen was somewhere else, and I took a picture of it and sent it to her. And we had gotten the double oven, and the one that they gave us was just a single oven. I didn't even think about it because we were waiting so long for it. Took a picture, sent it to her, and she's like, "Hey, I thought we were getting the double oven." I was like, "What?" And then I ran out. like with no shoes on, chasing after the truck. Wait, because I knew once they leave, it's forget about it. So they came back, and then I had to get it back on the truck. And then the end of the story ended up being, just keep it and use it for a few weeks, and we'll get you a new one. I'm like, really? Because it's gonna get all dirty. Like, yeah, we don't care. I was like, okay. And then they didn't even take all the pieces from it when they picked it up and dropped off the new one. So now I've got like a bunch of extra spare pieces. So
I've heard this story before.
Yeah. Wow, we're recycling appliance stories on the show. Yeah.
Oh boy. Talk about welcome to the Old Man Podcast, where we swap appliance stories that we've told. Not only are they boring, but we've told them before to each other, at least.
It's a double whammy.
It's a double whammy of boredom. Aren't you glad that you're listening?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, that's how we do it here. So if you want to support boring old man stories about appliances, you could do that a number of ways. I think people are going to like listen. Like when we first got into the show, we talked about the Deep Purple podcast. There were a few other podcasts that had the word purple in the title, but they weren't about Deep Purple. There was one that was like about the Los Angeles Kings. They're just going to think like the Deep Purple podcast is like, my name's Deep Purple. I'm a roundabout handyman. I like to fix things around the house. I talk to my pal over here, old Yella. How you doing, Yella? And then we just kind of talk about appliances and what's happened last week.
It's next week's episode, kidney stones. the very unsilent killer.
Yes. Our next segment is a quick prostate check. How you doing on your prostate this week? How's it feeling?
Ask my doctor. Waka waka.
They don't do the prostate check anymore.
They
do a blood test now. Have we talked about this on the show?
I don't know.
I think we did. I'm not even gonna get it. I'm not gonna do it again just in case we did.
So Nate, you get your colonoscopy yet?
And not, yeah, I'm due for my next one in a couple of years. I'm very much looking forward to it. Actually, a year. Anyway,
Nate's a young man that likes to have fun over here.
Yes, this is a future shock into when we're 20 years older than we actually are. But you can support our show a number of ways. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That earns you a round on the Flexitone here. We were actually at the kids' baseball game the other day, and I was like, when they scored a run, I was like, man, I should bring my. Somebody said something about cowbells because some people bring cowbells. I'm like, I'm gonna bring my Flexitone and really surprise people and just wail on it when somebody scores a run.
Oh, that would be great. Hey, they got a run.
Yeah. So you get to hear, if this is your first time listening, well, if you made it through the appliance segment, the Flexitone is sounded when somebody leaves a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, which we're surely not going to get after this. You can buy some merch on our Etsy store. You can become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 per month. You can help support the show, and you can do something on Cash App, but nobody will ever do it. So before we get into our patrons, we do have one order of business, and that is, we have a new patron. This is a good old boy that you're gonna like, John Maselli. Joining us at the $1 tier. I asked if he wanted a silly name. He didn't respond, so we're going with John Maselli. I wonder if he's related to Tony Maselli.
I wonder if he's related to Philly Marinaro. Billy Berjute, huh?
Wait. I don't know if he's related to Tony Maselli, but yeah, you're in good hands here, John. A couple of fellow Italian Americans.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, welcome.
You doing? Everything all right? Yeah.
So, John, what did John say? He did write a quick note back. Let me just see. Maselli. Hey, there you are.
Maselli. Hey.
He said,
good old boy.
Good old boy. He said, yes, I love the show. I've been looking for a Deep Purple podcast forever. You guys rock. Thank you, John.
Yeah, we do.
You found us. But that lends me to ask the question, if people are out there looking for a Deep Purple podcast and not finding us, what are we doing wrong here?
I don't know. I think we
plenty of stuff.
Kicked ourselves for, thinking that the Deep Purple podcast would be a boring name, which, I mean, it is, but kind of tells you what you're getting.
It brings in the numbers because if people are looking for a Deep Purple podcast, we're guaranteed to be the first thing that comes up on Google anyway.
Yeah, like let somebody else do child in pod or I don't know, some other ridiculous name. I love it. In pod.
In pod, yeah, that was Rye's name, I think, but he was going to do a Deep Purple podcast. In pod. And
like
we have long been holding kind of a come taste the pod as a placeholder in case we have to ever change the name. But for now, it's the
Deep like that
podcast.
One. Right, but yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, exactly. You know what you're getting here. We're putting it all out front, folks.
Exactly. We're not hiding anything. And this is not about the Los Angeles Kings like those other Deep Purple podcasts. So yeah, if you want to join us at the patron level that John just did, just go to patreon.com or just go to deeppurplepodcast.com and click on the right sidebar there. You can join us at the Patreon level. And we'd like to take this chance to thank some of our patrons. And starting at the executive level tier, we have the $25 Uncommon Man tier with Ovis Knockfeet, the £10 tier with Dr. Jill Brees, the turn it up to $11 tier with Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan, Ain't Too Proud to Bed, and Mikkel Steen. And at the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans, and Kev Roberts and his wonderful children, Matthew, Gareth, and Sarah. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous donations. We'll get to our other patrons later points in the show. If you're looking for other like-minded podcasts, you can check out deepdivepodcastnetwork.com, where you will find Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Skinnerd Reconsidered, us, T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the Other Side, In the Lap of the Pods, The Magician's Podcast, Hawk Binge, Made in A to Z, Diary of the Madman, Diary of the Madmen, Universally Speaking, Metal Gods Podcast, The Podcast Will Rock, and Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited. Check those shows out.
Like how in Diary of a Madman, you kind of went into like a Woody Allen there. It was in Diary of a Madman.
I'm so neurotic.
Oh,
All right. All right. That terrible Woody Allen impression didn't cost me anything extra.
Geez.
Let me help you sublimate your sexual tensions. Ooh. All right. That was even worse. Okay, so
sorry. I could do a good Obama. Good Lord.
What? That's your Obama?
That's Obama being surprised by something. Good Lord.
That's pretty bad. Shouldn't it be more like let me be clear? Yes, like something like that. But let's not.
I thought that him being surprised was funny.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord, I'm Obama. You have to say who you are so people know what you're going for. Good Lord, I'm Obama.
Worst impressions ever when you have to say who you are.
Yeah, guys, this is going to be the last episode of the Deep Purple podcast because John and I are just going to do a podcast where we showcase our amazing impression skills. I have been drinking, but not very much. I just had dinner at my brother and sister-in-law's and had a couple beers, but I feel fine. I'm having some nice soothing tea right now as we do this. This is Memorial Day as we record this, so a somber day.
It's Memorial Day spinach about an half hour ago.
Yeah. I'm done with this Memorial Day spinach.
I was picking something out of my teeth. Nate's like, "What's that, corn?" I'm like, "No, it's spinach. Memorial Day spinach."
I thought he was out there
some good spinach.
Some corn on the cob. He's out there eating spinach.
I'm grilling up some spinach. I'm trying to be healthy for Christ's sake.
Oh my God. Well, here we go, folks. We are here. We are here yet again to talk about another album by the wonderful band Gillan. John's fanning himself down because he's overheating with laughter here over there. So John,
yeah, Gillan,
Future Shock. What is your story? What do you know about this album? How familiar are you with it? What's your deal? I gotta know.
So this was. I'm sorry. I'm burning up in here.
Really?
What I do for good vocals. Well, I was gonna turn on the fan, but
don't you have an AC over there?
Yeah, it's in the other room. no central air here, sadly.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Anyways, my history with Future Shock is similar to my history with the other albums on here that I didn't know that well. Like I've mentioned before, the Gillan albums, I only knew at the time about a couple of them, like Scarabus, and I think that might have been it. But even over the years, like I haven't really gone back to discover in depth all of Gillan's catalog. So like from back when we were younger and collecting this, I don't really have a history with it. But that being said, I have heard it, and needless to say, because of its heavy content, I am a fan.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, just along the lines of his prior couple of albums, just in getting heavier with that Gillan sound. So and we have Bernie Torme again on guitar. So what's not to love?
Absolutely. I picked up the vinyl not too long ago. This is the this one has like a big booklet, which we'll get into later. 16-page color booklet with lots of interesting stuff in it, mostly photos. And I got my record player back just the other day, so I went and picked it up. Did I tell you about my record player wasn't working? Inherited it from Jen's grandfather when he passed away. It worked for a little bit and then it stopped working. So I took it to this like local repair shop with like a really grumpy repair guy in the background that like you just see his back, and the woman's like, "Hey, how long is it going to be for this, or what's going to happen?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know," and he just like gets back to like soldering a board or something. And so I dropped it off, and I was like, "Hey, I got to get this fixed." And they're like, "Oh, sure, yeah, like it's whatever, you pay them up front, and then whatever the difference is, you pay them when you pick it up." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I gave them whatever, it was like $100 or whatever to just take the thing. And then after like a couple of weeks I hadn't heard anything back, so I called them, and I was on my way home from work, and I had them on my hands free on the car. I was like, "Hey, just call and check out my record player." Like, "Oh yeah, it's not ready." And I was like, "Well, like how long do you think it's going to be?" And she's like, "I think we're running like 4 to 6 weeks out." And I was like, "Oh geez, I thought it was going to be like," I just, I had no idea. I didn't never ask. So they never told me. So my expectation was it would be a week or two. Their expectation would be that the guy in the back is all backed up and it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. So I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, you're really nice." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much." And I ended the call, and I was like, 4 to 6 weeks, Jesus Christ. And I said this out loud, and then I heard the click that they hadn't hung up yet. And then I felt really bad because I was like,
Oh,
I
no.
wasn't mad at them, but I was just like,
I had picture the lady on the other end.
She's like,
"Okay, thank you." And they go, 4 to 6 weeks, Jesus Christ.
so I felt really bad, and I'm like, "Oh crap." I was like, now they're gonna like sabotage it or just like sell it and never call me back or something. But nope, they were professional. Maybe she didn't hear me, I don't know, but it was just I just didn't. I very rarely do phone calls in my car, so I didn't really realize it was still connected.
He just fixes it, and it's like, "I'm gonna make it so only he plays at the fast speed."
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this
So
is a
all of
new
his
direction.
records sound like the Chipmunks.
New
Son of a
direction for
bitch.
Gillan. But Jen was out of town, and so I got the kids to bed the other night, and I actually I did what I normally don't do, and I put this on and listened to it. Just sat there in the room and listened to the record go, and just really checked out Gillan, and enjoyed listening to the album. I was actually drinking some tea then as well, and had a lot of fun. So it's kind of a little fresh in my mind right now. I was familiar with quite a few tracks on it already, but there was some that sounded a little less familiar. So it's like one of those albums that was always floating around, but I never really had too much exposure to it other than that. So the album features obviously the same Gillan lineup that we've pretty much been dealing with all along: John McCoy, Mick Underwood, Bernie Torme, Cullen Towns, and of course Ian Gillan. Engineered by Paul Chas Watkins once again. It was mixed by Chas Watkins and John McCoy, and then it also says mixed by Bernie Torme, Cullen Towns, and Mick Underwood. So basically everybody but Gillan is somehow involved in the mixing, which seems unusual that he wouldn't have any say in it, or would be maybe he was
So
off
it was
doing
mixed by
anything.
Mix Underwood,
Mix Underwood.
Mix Master Underwood,
Mix Underwood.
Mix Master Underwood. Yo yo yo.
With the gold chains.
Well, there's a couple of ways, a couple of years until rap at that time. It could have been Mix Master Underwood.
This is 81. This could have been rap
Oh,
was really
okay, that's
coming
right.
into its own. So, it could have been maybe a different direction
right.
for Gillan, both the man and the band.
I forgot.
So yeah, I've got the album art and everything up here. So basically we can kind of go through it, but there's a lot to talk about with the album art. So you've got this design here, which this was by the illustrations by Alan Daniels and Angus McKee. Alan Daniels had done album covers for Girl School, and McKee had done covers for Vangelis, who recently passed away, and a few other folks. So I guess right off the bat, what do you think of this album cover?
This is a really far out there album cover, but it's really cool. I really like it. Whenever I've seen it, I've always been like, oh yeah, that's one of the cooler covers. Like this one, and then the next one, whatever the other one is.
Double Trouble.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I just remember that the last couple of Gillan albums had cool covers. This was one of them. I mean, it's very literal in Gillan fashion, future shock. So everybody's going to be there's going to be a spaceship because it's the future. And, but I like how, it's colorful, it's interesting. And one thing that I never really looked at it for that long, but I'm always like looking at it and being like, oh, it's like a portrait of the band. But then I look again, I'm like, that's not the band, because I don't see Ian Gillan anywhere. But now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, I feel like it's the band, but they're kind of made up to look like they're been illustrated to not quite look like themselves. That at least that's what I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing, which was like, I mean, John McCoy is obvious. He's over there on the left, bald head, big goatee. It's pretty easy to capture that. And he's got like the Klingon, or the not Klingon, but Vulcan ears.
Yeah, Klingon.
Not Klingon, but yeah. So he looks partially Vulcan. You got Mick Underwood to the side of him. It looks kind of much like him. I don't know what he's got. Some like, it looks like those kind of paddles you use like for an AED to like restart somebody's heart, but they're strapped to something on his knee. No idea what that means, but that clearly looks like Mick. On the far right, I believe we're looking at Colin Towns there. He's holding some sort of, it looks like a weird electronic flute with weird wires hanging off of it. And then to me, it was like it left it to the other two guys. Well, that must be Bernie and Ian, but they're not great representations of both. And once we get into the inner art, I mean, I think it'll be clear that the guy on the left is Bernie Torme, also with the Vulcan ears, and Ian Gillan doesn't really look much like Ian Gillan.
Well, that's why I was like confused, because it's like he's got the hair, but he's redheaded, and his face, he looks Mexican or something. So it's like,
yeah, his face is like just kind of does not look like him at all. He's wearing like a big pink or purple jumpsuit.
Like it's not even like it's a subtle variance. Like this is supposed to be Ian Gillan, but kind of not really. And they just changed the color of his hair, which that's the only thing that makes it obvious, because even looking at his face, you're like, okay, that's some other dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through, like block out his hair and see who he looks like. But yeah, and they're stepping in, like I can't tell if they're stepping in like oil or if they're breaking the ground or something. But
looks to me like they're breaking the ground.
It looks like a futuristic car above them. Like to me, it always looked like a car, like it's like the exhaust from a car.
Yeah, all right.
Like a flying car.
And then I just noticed that there's like a woman bending over in the background, like wearing like yellow hot pants with pink piping.
Yeah, which is really weird because
Never
it's like
noticed that.
It's there, but it's not. You can't really see her at all. Like you can just tell that she's back there. It's like it seems like if they were going to have a woman, bending over and showing her booty or something, that they would capitalize on that a little more, but it's entirely blocked by McCoy's elbow. So very weird, like why you would include that at all in the image if you weren't going to either show it or don't show it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very, future, like you said, they're kind of these futuristic, they look like these futuristic superheroes or fighters,
Beings.
or who
Yeah.
knows. Like Gillan looks like a pilot, like he's holding like a flight helmet or something. But what's in his, I can't tell. Like what's in his jacket. It's very hard to tell. Maybe I'll get the actual
I don't
album.
know. It looks like he's holding like a protractor or something.
Yeah, it does, like in his other hand, right?
Yeah.
He's holding a
Like a
cable too of some sort.
like a phone cord or a plug. But yeah. I mean, it's definitely is staying along the lines of interesting Gillan album covers
For sure.
and art.
So let's listen a little bit to what Ian Gillan had to say a few years back. I think they had maybe done a reissue of this album, and he talked a little bit about it and what he thought about the album cover in general. So let's hear Ian in his own words talking about this album cover.
Now, this is an amazing cover. Portraits of the band, candid shots mixed with a load of photographs from a young artist agency that we decided were compatible with the title Future Shock. There's Bernie. The band photograph looking moody over maps and and stuff.
Struggling with turning the page.
Colin Towns and John McCoy. Mick Underwood. More candid photographs. And well, that's the interesting part. I think there's a bit of a rebellion went on when everyone saw the picture, because it's sort of supposed to be, I don't know what, but it makes us all look a bit weird anyway. But it's Future Shock, title nicked from a book by Alvin Toffler at the time, which was full of how exciting the future might be.
It kind of ends abruptly there, but yeah. So so as he stated, it's that the title was taken from this book by Alvin Toffler called Future Shock, which comes complete with a cover with the super futuristic looking font, or at least it would have been in the mid 70s. And I guess the idea behind the book was talking about the great changes that are happening in a really short period of time, and he kind of explores like what that's going to do to change people that go through those changes and what it's going to happen into society. We have all these like great thinker books that come out all the time, and this one came out I think in the mid 70s. And Gillan probably just heard the title of the book and said, well, that sounds interesting, let's make it an album title. Okay, so when he talked about that booklet here, there is a lot to go through. Like he said, there's full pictures of the band. There's that picture of Ian Gillan with like a little glass of white wine or something in his standard issue Gillan bandana. You got Bernie Torme, who looks like he could be on like he could be doing like a David Bowie impression.
I don't know. He looks like what's his name? Nick Nolte.
He does, yeah. He's got the lightning bolt on his cheek and the eye patch, and then he's got like rounds of ammo strapped around him. So it's kind of like interesting.
Nick Nolte meets David Bowie. It's an interesting look. That's what I'm going for in here.
Exactly. I'm going for sort of Nick Nolte meets David Bowie. On the opposite panel is like a picture. It looks like a crashed spaceship, and then like in the background and in the foreground is like an astronaut crawling through the desert with a shattered helmet. Then you've got all of these pictures, and it's really interesting going through this and looking through it in the album. And it's kind of like what we talk about a lot is very interesting thing about the albums of the day is that you see all of this, you get all this great visual stuff to look through. And while you can't read it in this shot, there's a ton of different like quotes from different magazines about the band. So things going up to this point, like for example, the Hull Daily Mail says, as for Bernie Tormé's guitar solo, we all know that Hendrix did it with feedback, but as the report says, it was long ago, too long ago for some of us to remember. So some of these things that they say about them are, about the band, is complimentary. Some of them are kind of trashing the band, and I like that they kind of uh, uh, put them both in. Like this one, Ian Gillan is 35, paunchy, dresses badly, and sings worse. He ought to be a washed up has-been if there ever was one. Like, Ian Gillan in 1981 singing poorly? Like, what?
Paunchy?
Paunchy, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't, doesn't look paunchy to me either. He looks.
I don't know what these people are listening to or looking at. So,
No. But if you look through this booklet, you know, there's like some of them are old shots. We see some old familiar friends. There's all of them at the table, like you said, whatever they said, pondering maps. So yeah, they're all drinking white wine, and in their weird future shock characters. Looks like John McCoy borrowed one of Bernie's bullet sashes for the photo, and he's got like a partial mohawk going on, and they're all
nice.
sitting around a table, smoking, drinking wine, and pondering this sort of map. And then there's a book that says, like World of War or something. They're looking at some maps, so maybe they're plotting some sort of global takeover. Lyrics, obviously, a nice close-up picture of Mick, and interestingly, up top there, you've got the Javelins, one of Ian Gillan's early bands, and it says, you know, in their hands it says who they are, and hit for him it says Jess, because that was his Jess was his stage name in the Javelins. Down in the bottom left, you've got Roger Glover from that like Cornflakes and Crazy Foam thing in episode 6. So I'm not sure why that, maybe that was there because Mick Underwood would have been in episode 6.
Maybe.
Then you've got this kind of another like little Gillan logo, and then a picture of some futuristic woman who's partially a cyborg with like a broken windshield and a spaceship. Then you've got the back of the album cover, which is like some woman in spandex lying down and it's half boobs out and all this sort of stuff. So it's really interesting. There's even more stuff in this version that I have. So I'm not sure what the difference between that one and this one is, but the one that I have also has like, it actually has pictures of there's pictures of Ritchie from the Outlaws days, I think, with where is it? I can't find it, but yeah, there's a picture of Ritchie in here with Mick from like the early day. Yeah, there it is, the Outlaws. So it's like the early days of can you see that? Yeah, so there's Ritchie with Mick in the early Outlaws days.
Yeah, I see him.
So it's kind of interesting, but a nice, you know, really, you know, ambitious record sleeve for the band to put out all that material, but looks really cool. Gillan's was it Gillan that said it? Let's see. He says, I realize that a lot of people think the album cover is rubbish. It was certainly a bit strange, but some of the photos inside were amazing. Future Shock came in a gatefold sleeve, and it was a great visual product effort by all concerned. So obviously there was some talk probably about like happens sometimes with albums, is that some people in the band like it, some people in the band hate it. But I'm sure Ian Gillan had final say, and that's what we got. This kind of interesting cover. It was released again in CD in '89. It was re-released in 2007 with some Ian Gillan retrospectives in the liner notes, and then in 2012 it was re-released on vinyl with the 12-page hardcover booklet. Only 1,000 copies of that were made. So if you have one of those, let us know. Yeah, that's the artwork behind Future Shock. I have all the information in the show notes, some pictures in the show notes, and then of course, if you're interested in those quotes, I'll have those all in the show notes too, all the quotes from the different various music magazines. But with that, are we ready to thank our patrons and get into the album?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So first off, we thank our core level patrons coming into the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier: Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, Mike Catan, and Richard Fusey. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 nice price tier, Fielding Fowler, Robert Smith, Peter from Illinois, Michael Bagford, and Carl Hellberg. And at the $5 moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Will Porter, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, Tim Southern Cross Johnson, and Percival Frequency. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous contributions to the Deep Purple podcast. And with that, we are just about ready to bust into this album. First track up is, of course, the opening track and title, the titular Future Shock.
I was waiting for it.
Much more organy sound from Colin Towns than you used to.
Like Gillan music is just so distinct.
Yep.
Like, you know that you're listening to a Gillan song.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
That heavy but like sort of whimsical sound to it. It always does. Even the stuff in Ian Gillan band.
I think that's a lot of it is that the keyboard too, whether it's an organ or a keyboard sound or whatever, a lot of times doubles the riff.
Yep.
Which I feel is like quintessential, like Gillan, part of the Gillan sound.
And it never sounds like, or I should say seldom sounds dark or foreboding. It's often just kind of upbeat.
Whimsical.
And you
Say
get stuff like
whimsical.
this. A lot of those little blurbs on the inside of the album kind of trashing Bernie Torme, which I think is insane because he's so good.
Oh yeah, can you listen to this? He blows.
They're like,
Kidding.
he uses too much feedback. Hendrix used feedback.
Oh, I didn't know that feedback was exclusive to Hendrix only.
Only Hendrix and Bernie Torme, the only two guitarists who ever used feedback. Not many people know that.
Ugh.
And these people in like 1980 are complaining how old that, like, oh, Hendrix did that. It's ancient news. Hendrix was like 10 years before that.
So old.
Oh my God, move on. Enough of it.
Yeah, move on. That was like 10 years ago. It's so long ago.
Get this like explosion sound, or maybe it's the sound of that little futuristic space car taking off. I don't know. There it is again. It was actually thundering and lightning the night that I listened to it, so I didn't know when it was part of the album and what wasn't.
Cool effect.
There you go. That is Future Shock, the titular Future Shock opening the album. Future Shock.
Titular.
And what do you think of that one, John? Or do you not have the spreadsheet open yet? Oh, I see you.
I got it.
I see you fumbling around in that.
You see me fumbling. You see me fumbling around in there. I'll give the titular 3.5.
All right.
Is a very good opening track. Strong opener. Great Gillan tune. Had a lot of I think now going forward, especially with Bernie Torme's unmistakable tone, that added the most to the song. It didn't quite like get all the way out of the gate. It was just, it was good. It wasn't like, there were some openers I can't think of right now. They were like, wow. Like, I remember there were a couple on a few of the Gillan albums we did where it's like, whoa, that blew my socks off. This one was just like good introduction to the new album.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and some of the earlier albums
Hmm.
really just melted your face off. This one, just good, upbeat, fun, to the point. I agree. I also give it 3.5. Good guitar solo, good weird piano sort of interlude, or
Yeah.
keyboard interlude, or whatever you wanted to call that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's upbeat. It's that, like you said, it's almost like one of the most Gillan sounding Gillan songs. It's just so no other band could have produced this. It's not that it's complicated or anything, but it's just so emblematic of what this band sounds
Mhm.
like. If to me, if you wanted to say, what does Gillan sound like, I'd be like, listen to the song Future Shock. If you like it, explore some more Gillan. If you don't, you're not gonna like Gillan at all.
Mhm.
It's kind of it's a lot like that, and yeah, but I find it really enjoyable. Think it's a great track, great opener. And that brings us to our next song, which is the second song on side 1. This one's Night Ride Out of Phoenix. I always thought it was a Night Ride of the Phoenix, which is a little more poetic. Night Ride Out of Phoenix is like, oh, they're just leaving the city of Phoenix. But here we go, Night Ride Out of Phoenix.
The desert air was cold and the moon was shining bright. As I rode out of Phoenix, there was tension in the night. Someone was walking on my grave. I said, I know that something is happening tonight.
Sounds kind of paunchy to me.
Terrible
great.
vocals. Ugh. This is a nice, it's like almost like Sabbathy.
Yeah, it sounds like a Dio song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was something I think on Last in Line that had a very similar riff. I like the punchiness of the bass.
Yeah, it's got a nice bite to it. This is a Night Ride Out of Phoenix in the desert on a skewbald mare. This is a type of horse I was not familiar with. Painting on a horse. I love that
Doing
vocal
some-
effect.
Yeah, great vocal stuff here. And musical.
Standard Colin Towns patches being used there to emphasize. We're about the halfway point of the song, and we're almost out of the lyrics, so I think we're going to be in store for some instrumental fun.
Hmm.
Always great to just start the guitar solo before the vocals are even over.
Almost has a feeling of a Ritchie solo.
Yeah. Just the way he's holding those bends,
Hmm. Ringing that neck.
as it were.
Or in this case, ringing the whammy bar.
Ring that pitch wheel on the synthesizer.
Yeah, it's using a very good effect here.
almost reminds me of like the Love Child riff.
Okay, there's another one. Wow, man, that's some wild stuff going on.
Change over to a more kind of typical organy sounding patch.
He's just exploring the keys.
Left right panning there. Interesting.
Wild.
That was Night Ride Out of Phoenix. John, what are you thinking about that track?
I'll go with another 3.5 for that one. It was good. On first listen, I wouldn't say it's great. However, there are a lot of great elements in there. Cool riff, which reminds us of two things. You thought of a Deep Purple, Mark IV, I think, and I thought of Dio. So I think it was
and Black Sabbath too.
I think it was Straight Through the Heart on the Holy Diver.
okay.
I think that's what it reminds me of. But that being said, it was interesting vocally how he opened the song, and there's just some really interesting keyboard stuff in here too, as well as the just the production too. Like the bass had this really prominent, like you could just hear it kind of plucking away, and Gillan was doing some really cool vocal stuff. So far, he's doing some really great vocals on this. He's not just it's like it's thoughtful.
Yeah.
He's not just wailing away or doing one track. He's doing some multi-track harmonies and stuff like that. So overall, pretty cool thus far.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, what was the last Gillan thing that we did? Was it must have been Glory Road, or did we do something in between then? But I just remember the last time we listened to Gillan, he was doing a lot more like growling, and I think he's returning more to his like kind of normal form on this album. But I'll give it a 3.5 as well. I liked it. I thought there, like you said, a lot of good parts of it. Just that really cool, like having it on in the background the other night too. It's just great to just kind of chill and listen to. It's not like super complicated. It's not a difficult listen at all. But it's fun. It's got that great Gillan, that comfortable Gillan sound. It just feels like a very comfortable album. Like, to me anyway, from where I'm coming from, like putting this on after all the Gillan we've listened to over the years, it's just like, yeah, this just feels like a comfortable Gillan album. No, not so far, not doing anything crazy. In a couple tracks there'll be something a little more off the wall, but yeah, it's just kind of it's going in familiar territory, but yet still doing something new. So the next track up, this one is called The Ballad of, in parentheses, and then the Lusitania Express. Why the Ballad of is in parentheses? Who will know why any rock band decides to put any particular word or phrase in parentheses? But here we go. The Ballad of the Lusitania Express. That graphics thing that I hate. It just decided it didn't like my cover. It searched the internet and found a much worse cover.
It's like Gillan doing like speed metal.
Yeah, and like you said, the keys, they're matching up the guitar exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of that here. And yeah, now Gillan is like, he's getting like more rock and a little more vicious with his vocals.
Yep.
His vocal performance.
Oh, there he goes. That's kind of what we were hearing in Glory Road.
Yeah, there we go.
Media players like, did you painstakingly search for a really high resolution picture of this album cover and then specifically tag the MP3 with that album cover? Don't worry, we're gonna find a really shitty pixelated tiny album cover that's not even the right album cover. We're gonna put that in its place. Got you covered. Nice to kind of get a distortion effect on the synth there.
You notice it's just the drums and the bass holding down the rhythm.
Yep.
That's pretty neat.
Nice bass too.
I mean, it sounds like just a jam, you know? Like almost on the level of Rainbow Rising. Just like a little taste.
Also kind of just comes back to that early Gillan where Bernie Tormé is doing that unaccompanied guitar solo.
Yes.
Really, really stripped down.
One of the best.
Wait, is the Lusitania Express a helicopter? This is a helicopter.
It sounded like a helicopter, but I thought it was a choo-choo train.
A choo-choo.
Ooh. You know, a choo-choo.
A choo-choo.
You know, a choo-choo.
I remember one time I was wearing my friend Chris. I was wearing a striped hat or something, and he said he saw me and he said, "You look like a choo-choo train driver." So you mean an engineer? I just like the idea of calling it a choo-choo train driver as an adult, like as a full-grown adult, calling it a choo-choo train is pretty good stuff. Okay. So that was the Ballad of the Lusitania Express. John, my good man, what do you make of that one?
So this is actually one of the songs that I do know off of this record, like a little better than the other ones. Probably
was it on
because
like a compilation or something?
If it wasn't, then it was definitely like when I was listening to this album, one of the tracks that really stood out, just because it was so just fast and aggressive, and it kind of had that momentum, like a choo-choo.
It had the choo-choo train momentum, I believe what it's the technical term for it.
But I mean, if you hear like the riff, it almost sounds like a train, like chugging, like a train engine, like you know. So I didn't even think of that. No, wait, yes, I did. Nate just vocalized it for me.
I did.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I give this one a 5.
Whoa, really? Oh my goodness.
like holy shit, 5.
I'm glad I was taking a sip of my drink here. Could have had some ruined audio equipment on my hands.
I'm glad you weren't wearing a monocle. Oh dear.
Dear me.
Or a glass of champagne, because the monocle would have dropped in the champagne. No, really. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this kind of song is right in my wheelhouse of stuff here. I just like it, like, you know, fast, loud, good riff. Gillan was wailing away a little bit, especially at the end of the verses when he kind of does that thing that he's going to do in a couple of years in Black Sabbath, where he's like, Lusitania Express.
Yeah.
Worst Gillan ever. Worst Gillan impression ever.
It's better than your
Impre-
Obama.
Good Lord.
Terrible.
I'll keep working on it.
What is Obama afraid of?
I don't know. I mean, I could do this. my name's Obama.
Yeah, my name's Obama. Otherwise, no one will have any idea. I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Even funnier is he goes,
It is not a tumor. What do you
he
think?
goes, perfect. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Oh,
I thought I had Arnold on the other end of the Zoom.
I lost my audio again.
Oh,
Fuck.
well, you fixed it quick.
Oh, wait a minute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I can. The wait a minute.
What's going on? A lot of dead air here, folks.
All right, sorry. No. Edit it in. What I think was the stupidest part of my impression is that Obama doesn't even say his first name. He's like, I'm Obama.
I'm Obama.
Like, that's his first name.
A lot of people, yeah, nobody ever just goes around announcing their own name like all the time, especially if you're like one of the most famous people in the entire world.
Well, like if I walked up to you and I said, hey, I'm Matola, it's like, what's your first name? Like, you're a weirdo.
That'll be my impression of you. I'm Matola.
Like that, just going like this with your shoulders. Well, actually,
What you
that's
do
your
all the time, you just-
impersonation.
You shimmy back and forth with your shoulders like this. Yeah, it's classic Matola.
No, that's been
move.
your impersonation of me since we were kids. Like you'd be like, "Mrah," like "Mrah." You'd start every sentence off as "Mrah."
I think the standard was, "Meh, I don't like it."
It's pretty much my personality there, everybody.
All right.
I don't like it.
So back on track here. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna give the Battle of Lusitania a 3. I liked it.
Ooh, ooh.
The 5 really threw me for a loop, but that's awesome. I'm glad that you like it a 5. I don't dislike it at all. Great, like you said, great choo-choo train rhythm, great energy in the song, but yeah, I mean, to me it was just kind of like, another more of the same sort of thing. Very, very few lyrics in the song. It's only like a few lines, and then it's a short, simple, to the point song. Nothing not to like about it. Just doesn't do me for a 5. That's all. Okay, next up is the track. This one is probably the one I'm the most familiar with on this album for one reason or another, and this one is called No Laughing in Heaven. So this is like Yo MTV Gillan raps. Makes up for the lack of lyrics in the previous song. And I think he did this on like the live Garth Rocket album, and I'm familiar with that version of it, which is very similar to this version.
Really interesting verses.
Yeah, it's very, very unusual. And I think the first time I saw it, I thought that this is something new he was trying with Garth Rocket when he left Deep Purple, but it was no, he's bringing back an old Gillan song.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a really interesting song.
But I mean, good vocal performance. So great vocal
And like, he's
performance,
gonna go
actually.
down there, and they put the effect on his vocals. And
He's very dynamic, yeah, and the music is really good. Let's talk about that. I mean, like the instrumental is good with the.
yeah, and I like they just kind of it's him and the bass and drums, and then they bring in the like keys and guitars doing that descending chord
Yeah.
progression right here. Another great little Bernie
Yeah.
Torme.
Great Torme solo.
Such an I like just like Gillan losing his goddamn mind on the song.
I like him doing the two voices. It's pretty amusing.
Yeah, it's like one of those songs that seems to me like it should not be a song that you can listen to repeatedly. You know what I mean? To me, it seems like it shouldn't have much replay value. Like, it's fun to listen to once, but then it isn't. But in the context of the album, it does have replay value somehow. It's a risky move to make a song like this, but his performance is so energetic that it really makes the song work. And I like, the idea of a guy that's, goes to heaven and then is pissed off because heaven's really boring and wants to get out and go to hell and they won't let him. It's kind of
Almost like a mini version of like something that could be in a musical.
yeah, yep.
He was kind of doing it in that style. I mean, come on, that's not really out of his wheelhouse.
Nope. It's like, okay, I'll be bad. Too late. It's just losing his ever-loving mind delivering these lyrics, but
a lot of fun.
he asks if he can get a transfer. Can I get a transfer?
To hell.
Gillan. All right. So what do you think about No Laughing in Heaven?
So I had a lot of fun with that one, so I'll give it a 3.5.
All right.
A lot of these just on the strength of them being like really just interesting, and there's a difference between like interesting and like interesting, like, oh, this is fun to listen to. Like you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. That's not.
Yeah, you're not saying it like code for that sucks and I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, it's the fact that. I mean, the music is good too. Like, I mean, you have that kind of like that thumping drum and bass line with the keyboards in there, the guitar kind of coming in almost like it's just got this swing, this groove to it. And then Gillan just does this really weird singing over it, this really weird crap, these really just kind of inventive lyrics. And usually, I don't like when he does stuff like this, but it's like, I don't know, it seems to be coming together on this album. It seems to be like that perfect mix of like, good rock and, him being kind of quirky, I mean, like the song titles and everything, like, Night Ride Out of Phoenix and like New Orleans later, he's writing about, getting to Duluth. And the last time we were You know, it's like he's a fan of writing about places, folks.
He likes American cities.
Mm.
So this one was I've been negligent in telling you who wrote this, but this one was credited as being written by all 5 of them. Probably just started out like a jam, and that's where they came up with it.
That makes sense.
Gillan says of this one, this is the one with No Laughing in Heaven, which is definitely my favorite Gillan track. It was really the start of me being publicly irreverent. It harked back to when I was 13 years old and was asking questions at Sunday school like, Father, what was the Immaculate Conception? And getting answers like, you have to have faith in God, my son. Faith will guide you. And I began to realize that I didn't believe in religion and that God didn't create man. It was the other way around. The idea of going to heaven was anathema to me. The last thing I want to do is be stuck in heaven with the sort of people I'd like to avoid. That's where the song comes from. So, and it's pretty self-explanatory by listening to the lyrics, but funny to hear him say that that's one of his favorite Gillan songs. I will give this one a 4 because I've always just kind of enjoyed it. It does have replay value. I've seen a couple different versions live, and live captures the same, it's one thing to deliver this once, but to deliver this repeatedly live with all that same energy and enthusiasm it can't be easy. And it's even though it's a song where he's not doing so much of his traditional singing, it's got to take a lot out of him vocally to deliver that like on a regular basis. So, okay. The next track up is the 5th track on the first side of the album. And this one's called Sacre Bleu.
Okay, you said that.
Sacre Bleu.
Oof. Nice.
Right up your alley.
Oh yeah, with a pounding bass.
She stood by the window, inviting with a clear silhouette.
It has that Ballad of Lusitania Express energy to it.
It's got the gallop of Lusitania.
I love the French accent. That makes it.
Yeah, Gillan's not going to miss an opportunity to throw in
Nah. A really interesting melody line there.
Yep. I think the thing I like about this album is just Gillan just not giving a shit, just completely just doing what he wants to do. Even when that doesn't work for me, it still works for me because
Ooh.
Colin Towns is trying to stab at that same effect.
The keyboard soloing kind of weirdly.
This song would not pass the song doctor test.
Oh, that's great. That's so good. Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a la déjeuner? Yeah, I love that he just I mean, that
Oh.
song is essentially 2 minutes long, and then the end is just him screwing around saying random French things like
In a French accent, in a French impersonation.
"Où est l'autobus?" So weird. Really one of the weirdest songs that he has, coming after one of the previous other weirder songs he has. So what do you think of this one?
That was a romp. That was a good time. I'm gonna give that one a 4.
All right.
Yeah, it was good, heavy, full riff. Good singing by Gillan in the verses. Really amusing chorus. I mean, it's just like I just love it. He's like, oh, sacre bleu. It's like it's not to love about that. Come on, that's so amusing. It's like I'm just like I'm really loving what Gillan is doing now. Like all the stuff that I said before is just like, oh, when he does stuff that's too literal, or when he jokes around, or he's quirky or whatever.
Yeah.
It's working here. It's working here for me. So
Yeah, I mean that's what we love about Gillan. It's just like I said, like he doesn't give a
Digging
crap.
it.
He's not doing this for he could bring some song doctor in. He could have, whoever come in and write songs for him, or clean up songs and make it more polished and more like a pop song, but he's just doing what he wants to do. And that's what I love about so much of this extended Deep Purple family, is so much of it is like that. And even when it doesn't necessarily click for me, I still always enjoy it. I'll give this one a 3.5. Again, another really enjoyable track. Very fun. The last, like I said, the ending 33% of the song is just it's basically over. The band's still some of the band is still playing, though some of them have packed up their equipment and are heading home, and he's just saying French things over drums and bass.
saying French things.
Yes.
Croissant. Did he say croissant?
He didn't say croissant or baguette. But yeah. Où est la piscine? Okay.
Tout le monde.
Speaking of French,
Oh, wait a minute.
tout le monde. Speaking of French things, the next track is about a song that has a Cajun population, and that city is New Orleans, and that's the name of the song. This one is actually a cover of a song that was performed by Gary U.S. Bonds, which I think is a funny name. It was written by Frank Guida and Joseph Royster. So this was Gary U.S. Bonds, sufficiently catchy to get to the radio airplay and became their most successful single to date. So, all right, so here we go. And that was from Simon Robinson. Let's listen to the final track on side 1, New Orleans. So, a pretty familiar sounding song. Like the bird is the word.
Yeah. Yeah, it is bird. Bird is the word.
I mean, it's pretty much the exact same.
I wouldn't be surprised if he broke into that.
That'd be great.
Bird is the word. Can't help it.
Best I can tell, the bird is the word. I guess this one came out first. It's been covered by a million people, but it's based on the Gary U.S. Bonds version. I was gonna say wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Gillan loves throwing in these golden oldies every so often, peppering them throughout his discography.
Put his own take on them.
So a lot of versions of this song that charted. The Gillan version of this reached number 17 on the UK singles chart when they released it. So not too bad. Other versions by let's see, Neil Diamond, Dr. John, Neil Sedaka, Joan Jett, The Grateful Dead, and my personal favorite, King Biscuit Boy. It's a great name. King Biscuit Boy. One of my favorite recording artists. All right, John, what do you think about New Orleans, depending on where in America you're from?
I've never been.
I meant the song, but yeah, I've never been either. I've always wanted to go. I worked with a lot of people who came up through that when I was in the restaurant industry, people who worked in New Orleans and came up with that style of cooking. So I kind of learned a lot about that kind of cooking, and always interested me, but I've never been. Someday.
I would just say, like, I've just heard stay away from like party New Orleans, like Bourbon Street.
Oh, God. Yeah, I stay away from party anywhere.
We know. Somebody I knew went there and they're just like, the whole place smells like vomit. And I'm like, it sounds about right.
Yeah, it's extra reason that I don't want to go.
Yeah, appetizing.
I mean, yeah, I'm about at least 20 years too late to be checking out that part of town.
Yeah, right. And then you're just like walking around and you're like, hey, where do you want to go to dinner? Yeah.
I want to just go back to the hotel and eat some crackers. I don't want to eat anywhere right now.
So, but New Orleans, the song, cool song. I'll give it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like what he did with it. Good energy throughout.
I will do that as well. A 3. For fun's sake, let's just listen to a few bars of the Gary U.S. Bonds version and see how similar it is.
I said, hey, 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 yeah.
He's not getting Bernie as the call and response for him.
No.
Well, come on, everybody, take a trip with me.
Slightly slower tempo.
That's funny though, is he's got this kind of Gillan used the same effect on his vocals.
Yeah, he's kind of got that, like, was it like a doubler, like a slapback reverb or something?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, about what you'd expect. Nothing, not a wildly different, not a wildly different take on that track, but that's the original version. Okay, so we're ready to flip this platter over, and that would take us to the first track. There's 4 tracks on the second side, and the first one is titled "Bite the Bullet." Kind of throw you off a little bit with that one. Very sort of hectic sounding, like little chord progression or riff or whatever you want to call it.
You know, so far, just really recognize that this album is like, seems like a really cohesive collection of songs. Like not only is the production consistent, but like all of the songs sound like they were written at the same time by the same people or worked out together. Like not like there were leftovers lying around from old ideas and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and considering how Gillan started off with so many changes and taking things from this album, and like the first few albums are just a mess as far as the history of them goes.
Yeah, it just sounds really
these two sound
cohesive.
really, very cohesive.
Because like this, you know, they all have like kind of a similar tempo too.
Into the song, done with the lyrics.
Oh boy.
Really cool stereo effect on those toms. Makes me wonder if they played that part separately.
Get another just drums and guitar solo here, but the drums seem to be more prominent in the mix.
That must have been overdubbed. They don't sound like they're in the same space, but it's a cool effect. Go get the lyric sheet again. Powerful opening to the second side.
I'd say.
Looking at that Colin Townsend, the album cover, he kind of looks like Alan Rickman. Or he's really sizzling up that fretboard on this side.
Hello, my name is Alan Rickman.
Impressions are just off the chain.
Oh, I'm
doing
good.
Those videos
I'm so
like
good.
John does 100 impressions in 60 seconds or whatever. I'm Alan Rickman.
All of them are me just saying who the person is.
Nice.
It's really interesting because a lot of these, like the riff and that thing, you know, that part at the end, it sounded like it's dissonant, but it wasn't at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure.
dissonant-ish.
All right,
Dissonant-ish.
what do you think about the Bite the Bullet?
Bite the Bullet. As I believe there was a live album where Ian Gillan introduced it like that. He's like, the song is called the Bite the Bullet.
It sounds like something you would do, especially if they had just finished playing Sacre Bleu. Bite
Maybe.
the bullet.
Maybe.
Fermez la boulette.
Oui, oui. I give I'll give Bite the Bullet a 3.
Tre.
Yeah, see. Oui.
Tre. Tre.
Oui.
Qua.
Qua. Oops. I don't know. I don't know French. I know some Italian and Spanish, which are very close.
Uno, dos, tre for the French song. Okay. I
Hmm.
will give it a 3.5. I like to bite the bullet.
You didn't sound very sure of that. 3.5, maybe. I don't know.
I liked it. That was good. Fun, good energy, great driving bass. I just but it's exactly what that song needed, you know. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Nice little instrumental bass. It's a fun. This album, I think you said it perfect. It's a romp. It's a romp through the future. And
Yes.
the next track, we're gonna find out what happens when Ian Gillan sings softly. This one's called "If I Sing Softly." Like Diary of a Madman.
I was thinking that.
Touch of your skin.
Well, this one,
No.
Alive and listening.
I had to look it up when I was listening to it the other night. I'm like, is that even Ian Gillan singing?
What are you doing to
Yeah,
me?
he's been saying like this in a while.
No, it's very, I mean, apt for the song title.
You've got a hold on me. You smile.
It's great singing, but to me, it just didn't sound like Ian Gillan at all. But I was like, I don't think there's anybody else, any other ringers in this lineup of Gillan that are going to be singing like this. But it's clearly him. It's just it's an area he doesn't go to very often. It reminds me of kind of like Ronnie singing "Sitting in a Dream" or something.
Yeah, like if you had like Ronnie or even Ozzy singing this, it'd be like 3 completely different songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best song from Diary of a Madman that was never recorded.
I love that little cross where he crosses over into normal Gillan voice.
Yeah.
Going into that really like bluesy, almost like, it reminds me just almost like an Elvis-y kind of feeling in this part right here. Colin Towns busting out the flute. We love it, folks. Little callback to Ian Gillan Band.
I feel like if he never recorded this for this album, he could have brought it to Wyoming a few years later and they could have put this on Born Again.
Yeah, they had that flute lying around.
Yeah, the flute, you had this kind of Sabbath-y kind of riff. Or guitar line, rather.
Yeah, it actually does sound like kind of one of those.
Like Planet Caravan or something.
Yeah, one of those really super mellow stoner style Sabbath songs. Like weed Sabbath, not cocaine Sabbath.
Weed Sabbath.
How can I wait much longer? My love is growing stronger. Will you love me? Baby, will you stay with me, love me? Will you
Well, the songs all inside one are all shorter. And this song is clocking in a little over 6 minutes, so it kind of lengthens up Side 2, Gillan, McCoy, Torme wrote this one. Sounds like it would be like kind of a perfect album closer.
Yes.
But we got 2 more tracks after this one.
Ah.
So disappointing.
Either that or it's a good bridge to like the last 2 songs being like real bangers.
Yeah. I listened to this album like 48 hours ago and I can't remember. Just kind of gives me nightmares of trying to record acoustic guitar tracks like this where you pick out every single note and then it's 6 minutes long and you get this far in the song and you're like, I hope I don't flub a note. You know, you miss one little string pick and you're like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Oh, I remember.
I remember using like an entire track just to pick up one note. Bing! Got it.
Nightmare.
It was the worst.
You like fade in that one note, like punch it in.
Yep.
Ah, there it is.
I don't care how confident you are in your picking. To make it through a song like this and not flub one note is almost impossible.
Nobody will ever know.
It's like really obvious. Every time you listen to it, you're like, bang! Oh, there it is.
But for us, it's like nobody will ever know on the music that nobody listens to in 2022.
You know,
It's
nobody
buried somewhere in Nate's basement,
listened
somewhere
to
in-
it then. I remember we had
somewhere in the suburbs of Chicago.
this one snare hit that Dave missed a song, and I used all of track 8. It was just him just going, bap. It was obvious too. It didn't fit at all. It just stood out. I don't know if it would have been better just leaving the blank snare hit, but anyway, that
Maybe.
was If I Sing Softly. I would say there's no if involved. I think he sang softly. What do you think of this one?
I thought it was a decent effort. I'll give it a 3.
All right.
It was a little long, but I enjoyed Gillan doing something different, but in a not the same way that he's been doing it, being all his quirky self. He was actually doing kind of like like there's this dark like guitar line, and he's singing kind of old school Gillan over it, that kind of soft, almost Child in Time verse singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of where it ends. The rest of the song I think is not it's all right. It's not remarkable, I guess. Maybe because it was a little long, a little slower than the other songs, but maybe it's going to be a setup for something.
Some smoking hot jams at the end.
Smoking hot.
I'll give it a 3.5. I liked it, but yeah, it didn't like you think it's going to kind of just go up and up and up and reach this crescendo, but it doesn't. It just kind of it's there. It has a little bit of a ramp up, plateaus, and then goes right back down. Which again, it works really well. Great singing. It's nice hearing him use that voice. Child in Time voice was a perfect example. It's like he is kind of using that same like very, very soft tone to his voice. And then he kind of all of a sudden switches it up halfway through and sounds like more 1981 style Gillan. All right. Next track, second to last track on the album. This one is called Don't Want the Truth.
See?
There you go. It's another long one though, almost 6 minutes on this one too.
Jeez.
Don't need you, you're obsolete. Don't want you hanging around my feet.
just looked the song up on Google, and it says the genre this in is alternative / indie.
Ah. Oh my goodness. Okay.
indie darling Ian Gillan. Such an indie rock band.
If I would describe this as that.
No.
Yeah, so there's good elements here.
Yeah, it's hard hitting.
I love the bass tone.
He's plucking on those like up notes, upstrokes.
Yeah.
It's got like a little. I wonder what kind of bass John McCoy was using. It's got like a really heavy like treble punch to it that I really like. I know there's a picture of him out there. He's got like this bass that's like looks like he's got these giant tusks on it. Like it looks like a weird like it looks like the bass like that the guy in Guar would be using. I've come across that image before. It's great. Yep, there it is when I'm searching for it. I found the crazy bass. This looks like he's using like a Fender P bass or something. Nothing, oh no, it might be a jazz bass. Yeah, it looks like he's using a Fender jazz bass. When he's not using the one with tusks. Shoot, 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 shoot.
Get the gun. Get the gun. Shoot, 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 shoot.
I mean, oh, let's see where he goes here. I was just gonna say, it just there was a lot of that going on for a really long time, and I was starting to wonder, like, do we need this song to be almost 6 minutes long? Nice Bernie and Colin sort of trade-off solos there. Very long fade out.
Yeah, I love that.
Man, that's a really long fade out.
Yeah.
It's like a minute long.
It's like a Diary of a Madman fade out there.
Mm-hmm. More Diary of a Madman references. All right, John, what do you think of Don't Want the Truth?
I thought it was pretty good. But I'll give it a 3. Yeah, like I said, it was another good song, but I just think kind of just there, maybe almost maybe getting into filler territory a little bit. I think some of the best songs are behind us.
It would seem that way. There is only one left. I'll give this one a 2.5. I think it, to me, so far, it's the weakest song on the album. I think it's well into filler territory. And there's just a lot of, I love listening to Gillan sing and scream and all that as much as the next guy, but it was just a lot of don't want the truth, don't want the truth, don't want it. And then it's like 45 seconds later and he's still doing it. And you're just like, I think that song could have been a better song if they had just tightened it up. I don't think it needed, like, If I Sing Softly for its faults, kind of went places in that 6 minutes. This song to me did not. It just kind of hung out in the same basic area the whole time. Yeah, enjoyable. It's a good song, but just kind of, to me, it dragged a little bit. Which leaves us to our final song. This one is called For Your Dreams. Another longish one at 5 minutes. Sounds like it could be like reminds me of like a soundtrack, like a Nightmare on Elm Street type thing.
See, now this doesn't sound like Gillan.
The vocals do?
Yeah.
He's singing softly again. It was like a like a little psych out, like they're gonna take you to the chorus, but then they go back to the next verse. Doing some interesting harmonizing with himself there. Very heavily affected and distant sound on his voice too.
Yeah.
Crazy, like in the headphones, he's doing that, like it's going left to right, panning really, really slowly.
Yeah.
Bringing in the wind sound effect. cool subtle things going on with the synths there. I wonder if that's an actual wind sound effect, or if it's like he's achieving that effect with something on the synth.
It's been such a long time and nothing is done. We're leading a wasted life with too many people, too many bodies fighting on to survive. We live in the wrong time, we're barely alive. There must be a better life with too many people, too many bodies. How can we all survive? One day, no mortality.
I like the effect on that with the like, those piano chords and the vocals on that chorusy sounding part.
Mm.
It's an interesting effect. Kind of a spooky ending to the album.
Ooh,
Careful, a ghoul might get you.
Ed Ghoul.
And ghoul.
Do you remember that?
I don't.
What?
I don't. What's that ghoul?
You don't remember?
No.
Oh, there was this when we were younger. I remember we were at my parents' house, and they, there was something on the answering machine for my mom, and so this guy called, and he's he's like, yeah, hi. He goes, this is my mom or my parents, I don't remember. This guy called. He's like, yeah, I'm calling for whoever this is. This is Ed Gould, Ed Gould. And then I remember you turned around and you're like, it's me, Ed Gould. Ooh.
Ed Ghoul. Why
His name
not?
was Ed Gould, but you said it's like,
This is sounding familiar.
hello, it's me, Ed Gould.
Ed Ghoul.
And you did it like that, and you did it like with a spooky intonation.
Of course.
Oh, it was
My
great.
famous Ed Ghoul impression. Hi, I'm Ed Ghoul.
Well, well, wait a minute. It was either you. Now that I think of it, it was either you or Paul.
I mean, it's a 50-50 shot.
It could go either way on that one, but all I know is that was too good for me to come up with. So it was one of you guys, not me.
I'll take credit for it because he's not here.
Okay.
All right. What do you give for your dreams?
So before I do that, I'm gonna retroactively go back and give Don't Want the Truth a 2.5. I'm gonna drop it down a little bit because when you were talking, I realized that I should have given it a little bit lower because I probably enjoyed it about as much as this one. I'm kind of forgetting the rating system. I'm getting a little Gillan happy over here, and the last maybe third of the album is so yeah, 2.5, which I think we've established as a baseline good song. So I mean, it was good. It was good to hear him do something different again, the kind of slow piano verse, but it went on a little bit long. Again, not too many dynamics or things that really keep me interested. So
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I'll give this one. I'll give it a 3, only because I really did like that effect on the chorus. But yeah, I think overall, like the second side had some songs that were unnecessarily long, and I think if you'd cut out, say, 2 of the songs and cut down a few of them, that this could have been a much stronger album. That being said, it's a Gillan album. It's great. It's fun to listen to. It's very comfortable. And yeah, that is it. And John, if you would like to bust out the if you'd like to bust out the spreadsheet, I will do something very important, which is to thank our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have none other than Mr. Raf Calf. Coming in at the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardot, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, Flight of the Rat-Bat Blue Light, Ivan Fieldboo.
It's a great life if you know we can. It's a
Runar Simonson,
It's a great life if you know we can. It's a
JJ Stenard. And coming in at the $1 made-up name tier, we have the Night Ride into the Coffin, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, The Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Spike the Rock Cat, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, Spike's Mom, Blackmore's Tights, and... Oh, I hit the wrong button.
What was that?
I hit the wrong button on my sound effects. Hey-oh, John Maselli, new patron. John, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
That should be his sound now. And John Maselli.
I wouldn't want to give that sound to anybody. That's not nice. No, that's not. No, this is better. Yes, some applause for John Maselli for joining us at the $1 made-up name tier. We really appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, you know what time it is.
Bill John's busting out the spreadsheet, and he's fumbling with the tabs. Oops, he sorted it the wrong way. Now he can't tell what is bad.
All right, John has busted out the spreadsheet. And what is it telling us, John? What's the results here?
Well, sadly for Gillan, Future Shock is in the say the bottom quarter of our ratings here. It's a little low. 6.60 combined, but we rated it exactly the same, 3.0. So no variance. And it is between Zephyr self-titled and Elf Carolina County Ball.
There you go. And hey, you got to remember too, hey, it's in the bottom corner, but it's the bottom quarter of all only Deep Purple related stuff. So it's not like something has to be the lowest rated. And
right. So
this isn't the lowest rated, but something has to be down at the bottom and something has to be on the top, and the margin's not crazy between the top and the bottom, because this is all great Deep Purple related stuff. All right, so that will conclude our
I had such a I lost my audio again. Yeah, I really have to do something about this, but I missed a comment I wanted to say. This is like, we're talking about the bottom of the barrel, and the pea soaked newspaper at the bottom of this barrel is Warhorse, and then everything else is good.
both Warhorse albums rounding out the bottom.
Yeah, that's all. Yes. Carry on.
All right, so for this album, just a couple things before we wrap it up. The reception of this album, it reached number 2 on the UK charts. This is the highest charting album, and big thanks to Jeff Bryce, who sent along some articles from Stargazer, issue number 24, June 1981. So a little blurb about what Simon Robinson has to say. The outer sleeve is chronic. There are very few artists in the sci-fi field doing anything decent, and Gillan used the best, Chris Foss, for Clear Air Turbulence. The album itself didn't live up to expectations. There seems to be a lack of musical ideas, reusing from previous albums, which we are wearing a bit thin. Ballad of Lusitania Express is the worst example. Ooh, sorry, John. Much of the album sounds too rushed, which is a pity because the enthusiasm is there. One snatch of No Laughing in Heaven shows that. Some of the tracks sound like Ian was suffering when he recorded them, such as If I Sing Softly and Don't Want the Truth, both of which have a lot going on for them. For my money, the best cut of all is the last, For Your Dreams. It has a much more thought out feel to it and begins to bring together Colin's ideas and Ian's vocal range successfully. Overall, I feel Ian has let the album run away with itself, and Glory Road seems, especially the American version with the rearranged track order, much stronger. So kind of disagreeing with, well, certainly disagreeing with you and disagreeing with both of us on the last track, but there you go. So after this, this is Bernie's last album with the band. He leaves after this album during the tour and is replaced by Jonick Gears. And that is a tale for another day. If you want any more information, get all these quotes and links to articles and all that fun stuff at deeppurplepodcast.com. Come check it out. And until next week, John, I will see you later.
Waka waka. This fucking thing.
Yeah.
Does it sounds like it's maybe right. It sounds like a driver thing.
I mean, maybe.
Because it randomly.
And then what you do, you just have to go to your audio thing and zoom and then switch it to the.
Well, it pops up in the middle
and it says
of the screen, and then it's just like so I don't know. Usually like we're recording, so I'm just like clicking everything to make it come back. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
What does it say in the middle of the screen?
Like you've lost audio or no audio detected. Like it loses connection with it, and then I click search for audio or restore audio or something, and then boom, it comes back.
Well, at least you got a quicker fix for it than before, but it's weird. We'll have to do some looking into that.
Yeah, you see if the Focusrite needs it.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.